All right, we are live. Good evening. It's great to have you here. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you feel that something and actually felt good about it? Most people will not have an answer to this point, and that's fine because many of us, failure is something we avoid, something we hide from, something we don't like to talk about. But what if the way we see failure is actually what is holding us back? There's a way of thinking that separates people who grow from who stay stuck. These are two different ways. There are people who want to continue to grow despite failure, and those who want to stay stuck. Now, this is not a talent, it's not luck, it's mindset. Specifically, what do we call growth mindset? It shows up in simple moments like when it's hard, do you give up or lean in? When you get feedback, do you feel attacked or do you improve? When you fail, do you stop or try again differently? Your mindset doesn't shape your thinking, it shapes your results. Now, there are difference between I can't do this and I can't do this yet. And exactly what we're exploring today. We have someone here who will help us break this down in practical and relatable way. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Ayotunde Olujede, who will be sharing insights on how we can develop and apply growth mindsets in our everyday lives. Mr. Ayotunde, you're welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And
We are so happy to have you.
yeah, I'm excited about these types of conversations too because we a lot of times we focus on the tangibles and we don't realize how much impact the intangibles have on the output that everyone can see. So I feel like it's important to always step back and have those conversations
Of
around
course.
how the intangibles shape our results. So it's great to be here, and I look forward to exploring and even learning from this exploration to myself.
Great. We are also looking forward to learning from you. Right? But before we get on to questions that will help us get to explore this topic, we'd like you to quickly help us get to know you better. Even though it's a brief, get to know who Mr. Ayotunde Olujede is.
All right. Ayatunde is a curious mind. I think that's like if I was to describe myself in one sentence, I'll say I'm a curious mind. But in terms of work, I work at the intersection between brand strategy and marketing. So the thought process that goes into positioning a brand in the world, and then the practical processes, the day-to-day processes that ensure that that goal is attained. And also, I work as a talent manager in the entertainment industry. I work with line of talent, and I also handle event management. The I'm very diverse, so that's why when people ask me what am I, I just say I'm a curious human, and I feel like a lot of times people don't understand the depth of that curiosity. So yeah, that's just basic information about me. Can you hear me?
Sunday. Yeah, sure. I'm with you. Thank you very much, Mr. Ayotunde, for helping us get to know you. So, would like to get into the topic now. And one of the basic questions, for sure, you must be expecting questions like this. Yes. What would you say is a growth mind, and why do you think it's important? Why is it important?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Um, Before I try to define what a growth mind is, I like to help understand what the mind is in the first place. Because I feel like a lot of times we understand human biological behaviors like, oh, they need to eat or they need to stay healthy and all of those things. But when it comes to the mind, we don't necessarily understand what the mind is. At best, we often reduce the mind to the activities of the brain. And yeah, the foundation of the mind, where it is stored, like if there's a physical server for what the mind is, it will be the brain. But that is more than it. So it's about first understanding your mind. I always say that the mind is a computer, or better yet, computers are modeled after the mind. So in understanding that, then you understand that the way you set your mind is the way everybody operates on a set of programs. We are all programmed beings. So the way you program your mind affects everything. It affects the outcome. It affects your worldview. It affects how you perceive things. So then understand now that now that we have like a brief understanding of what the mind is. Now going to what a growth mindset is, like it the phrase describes mindset, the certain ways that your mind is set to operate, such that when certain things happen, you have your way to respond to it. So and most times we more often than not we don't realize how much it is a thing of habits, and even deeper than habits is a thing of paradigms. I'll get into that later. But a growth mindset is simply having the habits that everything is a work in process. There is no end point. So, for instance, I do something and I fail at it. Rather than thinking, oh, I failed at this thing, it's, oh, what didn't I do right? The fact that I failed is a message to understand something and do better at that thing. So a growth mindset just means you're not limiting yourself, because the opposite of that would be a fixed mindset where you assume everything is set in stone. But when you understand that everything is a product of change, that thinking on its own helps you realize that, okay, I'm capable of this change. I'm capable of changing the results I see in my life. I have the power to do that. And that's just what a growth mindset is. That ability to see that whatever your results are currently, that's not the end. That's not the end of it. It's a process. And if you can understand that, then you understand that you have the power to fix that. And then you can now start introspecting and looking at, okay, what are the things I need to do in terms of the specifics. So that's just how a growth mindset works. And it's not just hearsay, it's like academically proven. It was coined by a woman called Carol Dweck, and it was based off actual research with people, that what makes for successful people, what kind of mindsets do successful people have. And it's always comes back to that growth mindset mentality, because it underpins everything else. It underpins how you react to people's actions towards you, how you react to situations around you, how you react to your own emotions. Because at the end of the day, our mind is in two places, the conscious and the subconscious mind. And a lot of what we think are daily habits are actually informed by the subconscious mind. So it's I feel like I've gone past the question, but yeah, I um hope I'm following through with the question you asked.
Sure, sure, sure. Still in line. I even like the fact that you buttress the point, so it gives more room to help us get to understand each of those points you mentioned. So, you mentioned two different mindsets. We have the growth mindset and we have the fixed mindset. So, one question I had in mind before starting off the show, which I'll be reading out, is why do you think many people struggle to develop this growth mindset? Because the truth is, many of us have the fixed mindsets. So why do you think we struggle with having to do this growth mindsets, even when they want to improve, even when we want to move from stage one to stage two, but our mindset is just like the fixed one instead of the growth one. How do we develop it?
All right, thank you so much. That's such a good question. Please confirm that you can still see me and you can hear me clearly.
Sure, I can.
Oh, okay. So a lot of times the reason why most people struggle is a result of the way their mind has been programmed. So I'll say something now that might sound like hearsay, but anyone that is passionate enough can check it out and research. But the way our mind operates, what if I told you that at least 90% of who you become in life or what you become in life is influenced by the first 7 years of your life? Like the first 7 years of a human life is the theta stage. That's where you're a sponge, you're just taking in everything. And that's before you even form an ego. That is like the understanding of yourself and you have a personality. And in those 7 years, a lot of times, the things that happen in those 7 years, people spend the rest of their lives trying to correct it. And most people even miss out on it. I'll give you a simple instance. For during those formative years, a child is a child learns their role in the world, for instance. So it can either be a child believing that, oh, this world I'm in, I have the power to shape things in this world. I have the power to control things. Or this world I'm in, everything is done to me and I'm just a specimen here. So most of these things, whether or not someone has a fixed or a growth mindset, it is not the root of it is often down to upbringing. And then of course after those first 7 years, you start forming an ego, you start having a mind of your own, and then your society also has a role to play around it. So a lot of times most people miss out on this. They go on with the fixed mindsets because they don't take enough time to introspect and have a mind of their own. And when I say have a mind of their own, it's not like everybody has a mind of their own, but for you to acknowledge that is the first acknowledging that is the first step to maximizing that mind. So when you understand that, oh, the way I operate, the way things happen to me, the patterns I'm seeing in my life, there's actually a deeper result to a deeper, excuse me, a deeper reason why those things happen. So most people don't even understand. And when you don't understand that your mind is it's like the example I like to give is if I give you a gaming computer now, very high tech, high core computer, and all you do with it is Microsoft Word and maybe you check your Instagram and Twitter, you are undervaluing the potential of that mind. And that's what happens with most people's minds. Because it is simply a you decision that you can decide, okay, this is how I want to start thinking. And it's not just, of course, it's not paper, it's not like light work, like, oh, this is how I want to start thinking and it just changes. It is this is how I want to start thinking and this is how I want to start living. And then a conscious effort is made to reprogram your mind. So which brings us to the answer to that question. A lot of people don't understand that they have the power to reprogram their minds first. And then secondly, they don't attempt that process of reprogramming their minds. So that's what keeps people stuck in that fixed mindset, avoiding the potential bliss that comes from just having a mindset that nothing is actually fixed. And in having that mindset, it almost breaks down all of the systemic all of the things we have learned. It's almost like you have to unlearn everything you have learned about yourself, everything you've learned about the world, and then come back to that theta stage that I spoke about for the first 7 years of your life, where you don't owe your being to any of these things. Because what happens most times with people that have a fixed mindset is you're still operating on the ego part of existence. So all you are is your thoughts, your emotions, and the things that thoughts and emotions, the people around you, the world around you, the music you listen to, the news everything that you ingest. It informs that. And over time, you find that you are not you're just a bunch of all of those things, and you don't have a sense of self. You don't have a sense of being, because that being is the true you. So in understanding that that being is there already, it's all. There's no, you, if you don't fail at something and you become any less human, or you don't make a mistake and you become any less human, you are whole. So whenever you have those type of things happen to you, you can always understand that, oh, it's bigger than just I failed an exam, or I didn't get to achieve this goal, or it's more about I am, like this, the reason why I can be all those things is because I am in the first place. So what does it mean to be? And that's where the questions now start coming. You now start looking, okay, what's my mind like? How can I reprogram it? And then people get from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. So most
Mm.
times it's the way their mind is programmed, and the lack of information that leads to knowing, because it's different levels. You can be informed and get all the information, but it doesn't become knowledge because you don't take it in and make it real for yourself. So I think that's where most people are lacking. And most times when you hear conversations like this, the first thing is, oh, that's just woke stuff. People are just being woke. But it's not actually woke. It is literally how your mind operates. So it's like you have this machine, and if you could learn how to maximize this machine, you would actually see results. But if you don't even know the potential of the machine, you spend all your life feeling like your brain is a Corolla, meanwhile it's a Lamborghini. But you can't harness that potential because you don't even see it in the first place. So I think that gap is a knowledge gap in most cases.
Great. Makes sense. Imagine thinking you riding a Corolla when you actually own a Lamborghini. That's really, really
Mm-hmm.
far back. That's a
Mm-hmm.
very, very good example to help us understand that. I think you've also helped us understand the fact that I can't just say, oh, I'm born with this kind of mindset. I can actually like move from this mindset to having a growth mindset. You've answered that question. And I also think you've
Mm-hmm.
also helped us see that it's not just a motivational talk to actually move from being a fixed mindset to having a growth mindset. Right. Thank you very much
Mm-hmm.
for that. Let's move to failure. Let's talk about it a bit. Now, why do many people fear it? Why do they to fail? And how should we now, all of us on this live stream now, start seeing failure?
All right, that's a very good question. Um, Failure. I studied philosophy in school. So one of the things I like to do when I'm talking about concepts is defining it. And I like to understand what is failure. Like, it's not a rhetorical question. I'm actually asking, like, I want to understand the context of, and can anyone from the audience also interact, or it's just us?
Yeah. They are interacting from the chat box. I'll go through it and I'll get back to you on this.
Oh, okay.
But I'll just at the moment you can just give us or a practical way someone can actually train themselves to respond better when they
So,
fail, right? How they can respond better to failure. That's it. What practical ways can they adapt?
all right. Thank you for that. I think I'll use myself as an example, because the reason why I asked is because I think I've come to realize a lot of times the things we term failure, it's it's a time bound thing. Like, it is not that goes back to the growth mindset. So for instance, I spent 8 years in school studying a 4 year course, and ordinarily that would be termed failure. Like, oh, based on setting standards that, oh, you're supposed to go to school, you're supposed to come out with a first class. I probably came out with like a third class or something. And to the based on the definition that we have been taught, based on the programming, that is failure. someone can get that and decide, oh shit, my life is done. I failed at school. What is this? And build off a whole life out of that. Or you can actually look at it and say, okay, this failure, that's why I asked what, because a lot of times when you look at it, okay, you failed at something. Why did you fail at it? Is there a way? Is it the reason why the failure would hurt is because you care about that thing? So instead of focusing so much on, okay, I failed at this thing, is okay, I care about, say for instance, I'm trying to become a pilot and I keep failing my accreditation exams. So in that kind of case, the question I would ask is, why does it mean so much to me to become a pilot? In the process of finding out why, you would inadvertently find a way around that, because then you realize, okay, this is why I want to do this, and I want to get from point of failure to point of success. What is stopping that from happening? Is it that I'm not preparing enough? Is it like the curriculum is not, like, you start looking into into um ways to better it. And I think one thing that's the best way to handle it is to realize it's a part of the process. Like, for me, and I think perception is everything. I don't see anything as failure anymore. I see it as, okay, if something happens, it's a lesson learned. At least I failed at that thing, and I know the things I did that caused me to fail. So if I'm going into that thing next time, I'm going in better equipped than I was the first time, because now I know some of the things I shouldn't do. And the more things I know that I shouldn't do, the closer I get to understanding, okay, this is what I should be doing instead. Oh, I failed in this thing because I didn't spend enough time preparing. So maybe what I do next is prepare like a 3 month timetable where I'm working day by day, where like I compound my efforts. So it's like, it's always, failure is it's the perception. To answer the question, I think it's your perception towards it. It's understanding that everyone has failed. Like, you hear the greatest people in life, they tell you, oh, I failed at something, and it's a signal. It's not a stop point that, oh, it's a signal that, oh, this is a result that happened as a result of my efforts. So what can I do differently? And if you understand that until the day we leave this earth, we are a work in progress. A lot of times we want to fantasize about, oh, I'll get to that point where I'm bulletproof, where I no longer fail at anything. If anyone is telling you that, then there's a high chance they are not trying anything, in fact, because for you to actually get to the point of success, failure is like, it's like a stepping stone towards that process. And also, it's when you understand that your life is a work in progress, you never really complete you never really complete, you never really, it's not a game that you play and then you finish the mission. The mission ends when you stop breathing. So it's like, okay, I feel that this thing now, that's not the end. I can do it again and again. And you would hear stories of people that have been resilient. Even the light bulb that we all use today, it's a story of resilience. Everything, most of the things that we are happy about today, AI, all of those things, it took a lot of failures for people to get there. So once you're okay with it, like, okay, I'm not running away from failure. I'm only running away from mediocrity, because as I said earlier, failure is a signal that guide you to better yourself. If you check the most successful people, they probably learned more from failure. At least for me, I've learned more from my failures, so to speak, than my successes. So it's just, at the end of the day, it's just the way you perceive it, and understanding that it is not that big in the grand scheme of things. I don't know if you saw this recent moon expedition and how little we are in the grand scheme of things. So when you actually realize that, then you probably cut yourself some slack and realize there's a whole world happening around you that is bigger than yourself, that you can get lost in your own little bubble, feeling like, oh, this thing, without realizing that it's a signal. Looking, okay, I'm failing at this thing. You can fail at something so much that it inspires you to create a solution so that other people don't fail. Would you say that instance is a failure? Yes. It was a failure when it happened, but it turned around and became success in a way. So at the end of the day, it's your perception towards things and how you how you view the impact towards you. And lastly, what I would say is failure also builds, like, it builds resilience. So now the fact that the first time you fail at something, it almost feels like, and I'll give the example of spending more time in school than I was supposed to. At some point, I started feeling like, oh my God, all my mates are doing stuff in life and I'm just here. But then I realized if that moment happened, I probably wouldn't become a ghostwriter and then start ghostwriting books and learning things that I was not able to learn. Like, it was like I was being paid to learn. And that came as a result of, oh, I failed in school and what am I doing with my life? What can I do? And then you find something else. So at the end of the day, you realize failure is not an end point, it's a stepping stone. So that change of mindset, and it doesn't happen easily. It's the goal for all of this is not to even tell people this and automatically something changes. My goal is to get people to become more curious about this mind I'm carrying about. How can I control it? How can I control my life such that societal, because most times when you see what people say, oh, I failed at this thing, it's probably a goal you set for yourself or someone set it for you. And if you check the reason why that goal was set in the first place, there's probably no deep meaning. And even when there's deep meaning to it, it's not like your life is ending, that thing happened. It is There's always tomorrow morning. That's my own greatest belief. Like, no matter how bad the day goes, as long as I can sleep the night, there's always tomorrow morning and you can always go again. So that's just how I think people should actually look at failure. And if you have, because a lot of times the failure part is you sulking about is like, oh, I failed. Okay, yes, I failed. What's next? Am I taking that thing again, or what am I doing next? Like, just keep moving. As they always say, moving person would always find their luck. So you can't let failure keep you stuck. You have to keep moving. There's 1,001 stories I can tell, but I think that's just where I'll keep it.
Mr. Ayotunde. One question ringing in my um, while you were speaking. Uh, Despite experience person in this field, so to say, would you say when you experience failure like this, it's not possible for you to experience such failure again? Would you say you've already created a barricade between you and such failure and even possible?
No, I would never say that. Because and I think context is important in a lot of things. If you understand the context and the nuances behind things. So, for instance, I have a daily to-do list that I task myself that, oh, at the end of today, I want to have all these things done. There are some days I fail at it, and as much as I know that, oh, this is, yeah, you still fail at it, and there's no guarantee that, oh, you won't fail at this thing anymore. It is just the reason behind it, the why behind what you're doing. If the why is strong enough, there's no amount of failure in quotes that can deter you. Say, for instance, you're trying to make it in a particular field, say as a music artist, for instance. There is no where there is going to be a, oh, I can't fail at this thing anymore. It's just, I know that no matter what happens, I'll keep going at this thing because my failures will teach me that, no, regardless of, and it's humbling too. I think that's the best part of failure. I think it's the humbling part of it that, okay, I thought I'd gone through this process before and I mastered it, and life just humbles you again, and you're like, oh. And in that kind of case, what is more important is the realization. It doesn't even matter about the instance, it's just the realization that anyone can experience this thing. It's not a, It's not something you run away from. It's not something you shy away from. And no matter how experienced or how equipped you are, it's anyone that tells you, "Oh, I don't experience failure anymore. I have a shield against it." They are probably in their comfort zone, very, very confined. If you step out of that bubble, you realize there's still a lot to fail through and fail forward and learn in the process. So that's just the way I say it.
Thank you for that as well. I needed to clear that out, and you actually gave the right answer to it. So, okay, now, I want us to now bring it to this set of people. We have those who are still schooling, be it secondary school, um, be it university, in their career, their businesses. How can someone start applying growth mindset immediately? Yeah, because like we've been hearing, sometimes we will have to fail in this area. So, how can we start growing our mindset immediately? And what are some small habits we can start developing, or um, in our daily actions that can help us build this kind of mindset? I don't know if you get it. What habits, what little habits we can start building up daily that will help us have a growth mindset in our everyday life. Be it in school, be it in our career, in our businesses.
Uh, I'll get to some of the other practical steps, but I think the first thing is I always like to give this example of when you're trying to learn something, the best way to learn it is when that thing happens. So I'll just give a rough instance now. There's nothing I can tell you about a growth mindset now that would help you activate it as much as when something happens in your life and you find yourself going with the fixed mindset way of doing things. Say, for instance, there's a particular problem at your school or at work, and you see that problem, and in your rational mind, you think there should be a way to fix this thing, and it doesn't always have to be like this. For instance, there was a time when I was in uni. We had a conversation with I had a conversation with a friend from another school where we was talking about, when they're writing exams, they are only allowed they are not allowed to wear slippers or sandals. They have to wear shoes. And I asked the person, like, did you try to find out why this became a rule? Did you question and try to see why it is? It was like, no, that was my own. I just obeyed that. And in my head, that's one opportunity to reinforce, because there's something called reinforcement, and I hope I can still get into that with the way ideas are formed, the way we form a perception of the world. It is through reinforcement, and most times those reinforcements, yeah, you can do practical things like meditating, like affirming, like listening to people that have failed. I think that's those are some practical steps, like constantly listening to stories of failures, like understanding it and then seeing how it can actually change, like how things can change. But there's no greater way than to look around you, like look at your life. Like, okay, what are the things you have assumed? Because a lot of times, the things that result to a fixed mindset is as a result of other people projecting certain things on us, like the world around you. Say, for instance, you were not too good at school, so it's like, that guy na olodo, sabi. And then over time, you start internalizing it that, me sef I no sabi. You start doing some self-depreciating talk like, we are not the part of the smart ones, and all of those things. And that stands there is an opportunity for you to start practicing a growth mindset. It's an opportunity to say, this thing that people said I've always been, and myself too, I have come to accept that as what I am. How can I change it? Like, and then practical steps, because this thing is muscle memory. The more you do it, the more you flex those muscles, the more you realize, oh, this growth mindset thing, it actually works. Like, oh, And then before you know it, one day something happens and your response to it is unlike the way you would have responded before. And then you realize, oh, I think something has changed within me. There's no amount of talk or books you want to listen to or courses you want to do that would help you as much as looking at something. And I always advise start from the simplest things. Like start from consistently having a particular mindset, or for before you even start having the mindset, start from asking yourself like, what are the ways my mind is set right now, and how can I fix it? Trust me, everybody would, if you did that exercise, you would find certain things in your life. All I always suggest is pick one of them and say, I want to grow in this thing. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing I can tell you that will give you as much affirmation about how great this thing is than when you see the practical results yourself and you see yourself doing better mentally, because your thought processes are more aligned with who you want to become, not who you have been told that you are. And to strip yourself of that, you would have to consciously go through those things. But now, ordinarily, the kind of thing that you would have gone through, that you would have been like, oh my God, I'm doomed. You go through it with an understanding that your sense of self is not dependent on any of those things. Like there's something they call, I don't want to go too deep into spiritual stuff, but there's something they call watching the watcher. That's being able to see yourself in third person. And that's what happens over time when you train your mind. It's like you see yourself in situations and you can pause and decide how you want to respond to that situation. And I think a lot of times we don't take that time to pause. That's why we are stuck in that loop. So if I would recommend learning more about your mind, first of all. You can't do anything without that foundation. Learning more about your mind, learning more about, and then one of the best ways to learn about your mind, it sounds very cliche, but is by meditation. And when I say meditation, I don't just mean the way the monk would do it. Meditation is simply being still, like just sitting still, standing still, laying still, and just experiencing life without thoughts. Because everything you think about, trust me, is more things that have been conditioned into you. But when you start spending more time in that realm of being by yourself, you then realize like you have a lot more mental bandwidth than you think. And then in that process, it's like it's a process that leads to another process that leads to another process, whereby
Hmm.
you can consistently reshape the way your mind works. And the last one, which is the most powerful, is positive affirmations. I know a lot of people, even myself, before I started doing it and it became a practical thing, I used to say, oh, these things are just, but when you understand the way it works, it's like there's the subconscious part of your mind that affects everything you do from the moment you wake up to the moment you sleep. Everything you do that you think, oh, it's just me, it's just my habits, is mostly controlled by your subconscious mind. So the goal is to gain access into that subconscious mind and understand how it works and then reshape it. And one of the best ways to do that is through affirmations. So something as simple as, I am not my failures. My failures do not determine who I am. I am successful at everything I do. And those three sentences, repeating those consistently. Because as much as the reason why most people's subconscious mind is corrupted is because, not corrupted, corrupted is not the right thing to do, but why it is lagging is because you have taken in a lot of external voices that have shaped your self-talk. And if you want to change the way your mind works, it is starting from the way you talk to yourself. So how do you talk to yourself? How do you how do you treat yourself? And with affirmations, you can start speaking towards, I know a lot of religions, I don't want to, because people have different religions, so I don't want to religionalize it.
Mm.
I just want to talk about the underlying concept behind positively affirming things. It's not just spiritual in the spiritual way. It is how the world works. It is the rules of existence. It is the human rules. It is why we are called human beings. The being there is a verb, and it's that you can actually be, you can decide what you want to become, and constantly affirm that. But that's not to say, oh, you start affirming, and because a lot of times, even with the, even in Christianity, people say faith without work is useless. Like, so affirming doesn't mean you are not doing what you're supposed to do, but it's more like you are reorientating your mind. Because for instance, and I would try to close this talk, this question with this, like, if you tell someone, for instance, that, oh, do you believe that you can have 500 million naira? A lot of times, the first barrier to it is not a lack of the ability, is the way your mind is conditioned already. That, me, 500 million, well, it takes you. I'm like, but it is something that has been conditioned in you that, oh, there are certain types of people that should have that, and you're not one of those kinds of people. So instead of thinking around that, you just don't even bother. And there's something called your scope of perception, like what you can, what you can imagine as a result of how your mind works. So if for instance, if a blind person, if I want to tell a blind person what the color blue looks like, they will never be able to fathom it. If they were blind from birth, they will never be able to fathom it because they don't have a scope of reference to it. So a lot of times it is creating that scope of reference for yourself. And as a lot of adults, and I think it's important to say this, a lot of adults need to come back to themselves and like discover who you are before the world started telling you what you are. Then once you discover
Very
what you are, in all honesty, then you can now decide, okay, this is what I want to become. So if you're already in that journey or process of this is what I am, this is what I want to become, the simple things in life, the variables like, oh, this test or this exam or this job or this skill or this relationship, they will become secondary to the primary essence of your being. Yeah. So meditation, affirmation, understanding that failure is exposing yourself to as many failure stories. This sounds, there was a time I actually did that. Like, I went to read about the most famous people and their most notable failures. And there was something that did to me because it just helped me realize, yo, you're not in this alone, man. You're even on the right path. The fact that you're failing, it means that you're doing something right. So keep going at it. So yeah, that's just it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fayotunde, for that as well. Um, there's something I want to clear, and I'm very sure this is on the minds of many. Um, let's quickly, I just want to hit a bit, and I'm very quick on it. When it comes to obstacles, or I can see blockers, and also reality check, I want to put both of them together in this simple question. Um, how can I stay consistent? That having a growth mindset, how can I stay consistent in it, especially when progress is slow? You're expecting the results to start showing, but it's taking time to show. How can I continue to be positive, continue to have a growth mindset? Let's just touch it a bit.
All right. That's, I'll do that. I'll try to summarize it. So how can I stay consistent with a growth mindset? Uh, I think I touched on that earlier with practicing growth mindset. But now there's something I like to clarify, and a lot of my mentors far and near, they also, I learned that from them too. And it's the ability to segment your life. Because a lot of times when someone says something like, oh, what was your question again? I don't want to miss it. How can I stay consistent with a growth mindset? So
Yes.
if you can, segment your life. Like, okay, work, relationships, personal growth, and look around you. There's always something to be grateful for, something because at the end of the day, what energizes this is results. That's how you can stay consistent with a growth mindset, by constantly re-engaging your mind. And then with these different segments of your life you've built, I feel like being able to segment your life helps you see that, okay, there's certain areas of my life where I am growing, and then there's certain areas of my life where I think I need to grow. So to stay consistent with a growth mindset is to focus, another back again to perception, to put your perception and your focus on those things that you are growing in. It might be
Mm,
as little as just one thing that you're growing in, that okay, and then do more of that, because it's just like physical exercise. The more you train the muscle, the more the more it serves you, the more you become that person. So to
mm,
just become someone that is consistent with a growth mindset, you just have to keep looking for ways to train your mind while still doing all the other things, affirming, meditating, but looking for ways in your life, like practical examples. And I'm saying right now, like as we're talking about this, like, okay, what are, based on relationships, work, personal development, spiritual growth, whatever you have, evaluate yourself. Who am I in these places, in these areas currently? How have I grown over time? Then you can now start breaking it down into, because consistency is, I always say consistency is the most important part of anything you're trying to do. If you can, even if it is for 5 minutes in a day or 10 minutes in a day, if you can consistently reinforce those things that help you have a growth mindset, and some of those things include like the areas of your life where you are already practicing that, and then you reinforce that consistently enough, you find that over time you just start changing as a person, and you'd you'd realize it's like going to the gym. You go to the gym consistently, you start seeing results, you feel good about it. It's the same way growth mindset works. Like, it's not just like, oh, I have a growth mindset and I'm bragging about it. There's a sense of
mm.
peace that comes with it. There's a sense of fulfillment that comes with it. There's a sense of satisfaction that comes with it, that once you start doing it regularly and you sense the rewards, it will be easier to go back and do it. So I just think it's segmenting your life and looking for those little areas that you can start with to train the muscle that is growth mindset, for the lack of a better word.
I love that point. I love that point. Thank you very much for that. So, lastly, using this to end the live stream today, we love to keep it 1 hour. Once we promise we're giving you an hour on this, we like to keep it that way. So, the last question will just be this, so that everyone will be able to use this to remember. If there's one thing you would want everyone on this live stream to remember about having a growth mindset, that be.
All right. I'll take this like a monologue and just end with this. Because one of the notes I wrote down before this is, at the end of this session, I
Mm,
want everyone to leave with a better understanding of the machine that they carry, which is the mind. So it is, that's the simple goal. The goal is, I hope you can understand that, just like your favorite gadgets, your favorite automobile, your favorite products, whatever you have, there is a bunch of programming that goes into how those things work. And your mind is the same thing. There's a bunch of programs that operate the way you are, your emotions, your thoughts, your actions, your personality, everything that you are. There's a bunch of programs. I need everyone to understand that everything that you're doing, everything that you're experiencing, everything that you spend time on, everything that you're taking in is a part of that programming. And you have the ultimate power to decide how you want to program your mind. Do you want to program your mind to have a gratitude mindset that no matter what happens, you find something to be grateful for every day? Do you want to have a growth mindset that no matter what setbacks happen, you believe that the best can still happen to you? And it's not just a belief, it's a knowing, and that knowing comes from the process of programming your mind. So I just want to say your mind is the greatest computer that there is. And that is why these tech companies are spending billions of dollars trying to recreate. I think that should give everybody some form of joy. Like AI, machine learning, all these things they're creating it to mimic human behavior, to mimic human peculiarity, and you have that for free. So your mind is much more valuable, and you have the power to program it how you want to. You have the power to create your own world, to create the reality you want to live in. If you don't like your life right now, if you don't like, oh, I don't like these outcomes I'm getting, I'm happy to tell you that you are in charge of making that change happen. And the way to do that is to reprogram your mind so that you're not just who the world says you are. You can now start acting like the person you want to become. And those habits often they often become paradigms. And for the last thing I want to say, a lot of times your paradigm, I want people to research more on what your paradigm is, because your habits stack from what your paradigm is. And your paradigm is just a collection of beliefs that you hold, and it's more like a mental program that is installed in your mind. So it's like if you can go on to affect your paradigm, that's what they call a paradigm change. If you can go on to affect that paradigm change in your mind, trust me, it's not a short-term process. I've been on it for at least 10 years now, and I'm only just learning that, oh, there's more to reprogram. So if you can also go on that journey of consciousness and understanding the deeper truth about this beautiful mind that you have, you change your life inadvertently. And notice I'm not even talking based on tech, or it's in every form of your life. It's in everything you do as a human being. And your mind is really powerful. And I hope more people go back inside and test the unique powers of their minds so we can keep seeing great results in this world that we live in. That's my 2 cents. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ayotunde. This section has been very, very powerful. And we thank everyone for your time and attention. We hope to see you guys next week. This is how we do it. So if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to Tech is Africa so that once we start a section like this, you'll always be here to share your 2 cents. Always be here to share your ideas. And we'll be taking feedbacks on those ideas, and we'll still have to talk about it internally. So thank you very much, everyone. More thank you to you, Mr. Ayotunde I'm sorry,
Olojede.
Olojede. Thank you
Yeah,
very much. Sorry
yeah,
about
it's
that.
a pleasure.
Thank you
No,
very
no
much.
problem. No
Yeah,
problem. It's a pleasure.
it's been a
Thank you
great
so much
section.
for having me.
Yeah, it's been a great section. We've actually learned a lot from you. We
Yeah.
hope to see you next time, once again on the section. Maybe this time you'll be telling us or asking us how far we've gone with getting to develop our growth mindset. Thank you very
Definitely.
much. All right.
Definitely. Thank
Bye,
you.
guys. Yes.